In the last 2 years since the start of the pandemic, we've seen a drastic increase in the number of people diving into self-improvement and care. Whether it be health, physical appearance, career advancement, or learning new skills and abilities. This is particularly true during the lockdown. People were so obsessed with learning new abilities that various kinds of webinars and how-to YouTube videos became a craze. But not all people who attend these webinars and spend hours watching these YouTube videos became a master in the field that they have chosen. Others gave up halfway, whether because they became tired, bored, or frustrated since they can't seem to master the skill they have chosen. Most of these people have this common misconception that mastering an ability is all about talent, so they easily lose motivation and give up halfway through. But I'll tell you this. Talent is a great thing to have, but it can only take you so far. When we think about renowned and successful athletes, actors, and singers, our first impression is always being amazed at how talented they are. However, most of the time their success is only partially due to talent, since what they do to be successful and what you need to master an ability is not talent, but practice. This may appear to be the most obvious thing in the world, but the horrible truth is that a lot of people don't truly know how to practice something. And we're not referring to sheer repetition here. No, the secret to mastering anything is deliberate practice. And at the end of this video, you'll learn how to utilize it to conquer any challenge. Welcome to Thrivetastic. If you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button and join our community? And as always guys, give this video a thumbs up for that YouTube algorithm. Practice with purpose. What do you know about Kobe Bryant? Kobe Bryant's NBA career has been nothing short of spectacular. During his entire career, he won 5 NBA championships and 2 Olympic gold medals, and his net worth grew to more than $200 million. So, how did you suppose he got so good? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't just talent. Even when he was at the peak of his game, Kobe never failed with his practice and he always practiced with a purpose. There's a story from the 2012 Olympics that defines Kobe. In Las Vegas, a trainer called Robert was preparing Team USA for the Olympics. Kobe called and requested him to assist him with some conditioning exercises. Robert dressed and went to the gym, where he discovered Kobe bathed in sweats. He'd already been working out and practicing on his own. They did conditioning training for an hour and 15 minutes after Robert arrived, and strength training for 45 minutes. Following that, Robert left, leaving Kobe to continue practicing. When they reconvened for the team's actual workout, Robert approached Kobe and inquired when he had finished his training, to which Kobe replied that he had. He set a goal of shooting 800 shots, which he accomplished. To summarize, Kobe began training at 4:30 a.m., did weights from 6 to 7 a.m., then practiced 800 jump shots until 11 a.m. Kobe wasn't just working out for the sake of working out. He had a specific goal in mind: 800 jump shots. That is deliberate practice. It's not just practicing for the sake of practicing or mindless repetition. It's practicing with a specific goal in mind to better your performance. A tweet by New York Times best-selling author James Clear wonderfully expresses the spirit of deliberate practice. It appears that genius is frequently the result of conscious effort. What appears to be talent is often persistent practice and improvement that is precisely who Kobe was. And that is what you need. We frequently regard top performers and high achievers as gods, and in fact, they just put in more effort than we do. You don't become a great person overnight. It requires time, commitment, and dedication. When we look at people at the top, we often disregard the fact of how hard they work to get there. No one is born a master. To be called one, you must work. Experts are made, not born. We can appreciate Bruce Lee's point of view when he says, "I fear not the man who practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." This demonstrates that when you see an expert, you're witnessing someone who has practiced something 10,000 times. However, simply practicing would not suffice. It necessitates concentrated attention, precise goals, and a lot of feedback. It's all about making the most of your practice time. Let's return to the Kobe example. Why do you believe he wanted assistance with his training? He was Kobe Bryant after all. However, for the practice to be effective, feedback is essential. If you practice in a vacuum, you won't be able to see your flaws or how to improve. External insight might be essential in determining how to maximize your potential. Assume you're in a basketball court, practicing free throws. You take the ball, throw it, pick it up, and repeat the process. You'll become better, but you could get better a lot faster if you slow down and pay attention to what you're doing. Is your technique solid? Are you using enough strength? You must be aware of all aspects of your practice, and feedback can help you with all of this. Learning something on your own is great, but learning is considerably more effective when accompanied by guidance and feedback. When you practice without feedback, you may be repeating the same mistakes without even realizing it, which may lead you to develop a terrible habit rather than the desired results. You can't expect to know everything or for everything to go perfectly as planned. Feedback can help you identify your flaws, since, let's face it, if you develop a bad habit, it can be hell to break it. Every one of us is a creature of habit. It's human nature, and we're not always good at letting go. The sunk cost fallacy. What is sunk cost? In economics and finance, it is a cost that had already been incurred and cannot be recovered, often treated as an irrelevant cost when it comes to decision making. In layman's terms, let's take this example. Have you ever stayed in a relationship you knew was doomed because you'd been together for so long? People find it extremely difficult to abandon a path once they've started it. We eat stuff we dislike since we have already paid for it. We continue to invest in a failing business in the hopes that it will succeed. And when we stay in jobs we despise because we believe that's how it's supposed to be. Shouldn't we realize when to cut our losses? But instead, we double down and keep going until things fail. And that is what sunk cost fallacy is. Sunk cost is not just about money and cost. It can also be time or effort invested into something. When we consider whether or not these behaviors are good for us, we consider the time and money spent. But sometimes we refuse to acknowledge a simple fact. We won't get that time or money back. It's already gone. And this drives us to make irrational choices. Instead of considering better alternatives, sunk costs make people scared of shifting careers or learning new things. They don't want to face reality that maybe what they're doing now isn't good enough, that things aren't going anywhere, but the world is changing right beneath our feet, and we can't afford to stick with one thing forever, at least not if you want to make it in life. This is not to say that you should abandon the ship at the first hint of crisis, but rather that you must consider the cost. Would you go down that road again if you had to make this decision from scratch? If your answer is no, then why would you continue? You've already paid for the food and you can't get back the years you've spent with someone. Sometimes it's just best to move on to something new. And this isn't just a small-scale issue. This affects even large corporations and governments. Take the Concorde jet, for example. The Supersonic Transport Aircraft Group met in 1956 to study the development of a supersonic airplane, the Concorde. This was a collaborative effort between French and British firms, as well as their respective governments. They anticipated that it would cost about $100 million to complete. However, they discovered halfway through that it would cost much more than that, and that the plane would never make up for the cost. But did they ever stop? Not at all. They'd already spent all that time and money on something that was never going to pay off. And what happened in the end? The Concorde's cost soared to $2 billion, and it only lasted 30 years. As you can see, we are all susceptible to the sunken cost fallacy. But it shouldn't deter you. Just because you've been doing something for a long time doesn't imply it's good for you or that you can't find something better. There are numerous examples of people who had more success when they let go of their fear and tried something new. When Tim and Nina Zagat were 42, they left their legal careers and began writing restaurant guides. Their company is now part of Google. Vera Wang started her first bridal boutique at the age of 41, after commissioning her wedding gown for $10,000. Ray Kroc was a 50-year-old salesman when he purchased his first McDonald's, which became a worldwide success. The list continues on and on. So let's shift gears and speak about implementing deliberate practice into our lives. Okay? So, For the deliberate practice to be effective, you must follow its 5 key principles. Number 1. You need more than talent. We've already mentioned it at the beginning of this video, but practice is what divides average from excellent. Take for example the Spanish violinist Pablo Sarasate, who practiced 14 hours a day for 37 years. He's now considered a genius, but it's all because of his genuine effort. Number 2. Great performance requires hard work and repetition. To excel at something, you must practice it repeatedly and consistently. Repeated practice helps you establish a form of mental muscle memory, while consistency provides you with constant exposure. However, for this to work, you must adopt a gradual process, which leads us to Number 3. Break down your activity into smaller tasks. You would want quality over quantity. Yes, you will have to repeat these tasks numerous times. But if you want each stage of the process to be as fruitful as possible, giving your all in short bursts is preferable to working all day when your head and heart aren't in it. It might be tough to maintain concentration for lengthy amounts of time, which is why you should break it down into smaller chunks. It makes it a lot easier to handle. This can also be used at the beginning of an activity. You don't want to dive in headfirst because it will drain your motivation quickly. It's sometimes wiser to start small and stick with it. Number 4. Set goals and persevere. Motivation as well as perseverance are essential for accomplishing your goals, but building that motivation can be difficult at times. As previously stated, start small but start now. If you want to go to the gym, start by just going there. Even if you don't exercise, just stay in the parking lot every day if you want. Eventually, you'll work to do a little more. Maybe you'll just walk on the treadmill one day, then jog the next, and eventually run every day. But you have to start somewhere. Working your way up from simple to more difficult tasks can help you stay motivated and persevere. You'll feel like you're winning and improving, because you are. And we all love that feeling, don't we? Number 5. Get feedback. We discussed the value of feedback before, but it is crucial that you obtain it while you practice, since you want to know right away what you're doing wrong or right, and why. Descriptive feedback is what allows you to continue growing. Be careful though, because too much of it can sometimes become overwhelming. If you aim for deliberate practice, you will notice a significant improvement in your performance, in whatever area of your life where you apply it. It will take a lot of effort, dedication, and consistency. You must also understand that changes take time, but as they say, nothing worthwhile comes easily. You have to desire it, and if you don't, you have to find motivation whenever you can, even if it's in the smallest of places. Taking small steps is preferable to taking no steps at all, and you'll be well on your way before you realize it. According to Josh Kaufman, a best-selling author of business and skill acquisition books, the first 20 hours of learning a skill are the most difficult, but also the most important. He claims that you cannot expect to perfect a skill straight away, and must instead focus on completing tiny goals within the first 20 hours. Learn the fundamentals of whatever activity you want to pursue, and you'll be well on your way to mastery. Thank you for sticking with us until the end. Before we go, I would like to ask you guys, what kind of ability or skill would you like to master today? Please let us know your answers and opinion in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching this Thrivetastic video. So if you found it valuable, consider subscribing to our channel and joining our awesome community. And if you're still hungry for more, we handpicked this awesome Thrivetastic video for you to watch next.